What's up everybody, it's Luke James, not the singer, and this is my review for Mick Jenkins' mixtape, The Waters. Now I hadn't really heard anything about Mick Jenkins until this tape came out about a month ago and people started hitting me up on Twitter about it, but I was really impressed with this project, so even though I'm late, I really wanted to make sure that I got a review in. So here it is. The mixtape opens up with the track Shipwrecked featuring The Mind. I really like the beat on here because it makes use of a lot of watery sound effects, it has a mellow feel, and The Mind's airy vocals really fit this track. Mick does a great job on his verses. He raps about his past and touches on what it was like to grow up in Chicago, and I really like the beat change up on the second verse because it makes things sound a little more interesting. And as is the case with pretty much all the lyrics on this album, you really might want to have Rap Genius open as you listen through because there's a lot of stuff to pick up on. Or if you don't want to use Rap Genius, just make sure you're paying attention because this isn't really the type of album that you just chuck on and casually listen to. I mean, you can do that, but if you want to get the full effect, make sure you pay attention to what Mick is saying because a lot of the metaphors are crazy. He says a lot of cool things on here. It's very unique and different, and like I said earlier, I was impressed with this tape. The watery theme continues on the track THC, where Mick talks a little bit about the importance of water. And THC on this track stands for the healing component. It's a very short song, but I like how the beat changes up at about 1 minute in because the bubbly synth sound that kicks in really shakes things up a bit and just makes for an interesting listen. This album isn't just about water though, and in fact, water is often used as a metaphor for things like truth, knowledge, love, Mick Jenkins' music, etc. So keep that in mind as you listen through if you really want to grasp this project. Over top of Drink More Water's gentle strings, for example, Mick expresses his frustration with the fact that artists like Riff Raff are selling out, while guys like himself are having a hard time finding the support and making the money in the industry. And he does drop Riff Raff's name, which was kind of cool because a lot of people think of Riff Raff as just a joke, but that's a whole other story. We're not going to get into that. And I think it was cool that Mick Jenkins was so honest about how he feels because it's not just him that feels this way, a lot of fans and other rappers do too, I'm sure. And it's this transparency and realness in Mick's lyrics that really make this project enjoyable. This same theme of frustration takes place on the song Jazz, where Mick is talking about rappers who brag about hooking up with all these beautiful women, while these same beautiful women brag about hooking up with these same rappers. So it's just a bunch of circle jerking going on, and it's really not that impressive if you're bragging about hooking up with a video hoe, or if you're a video hoe bragging about hooking up with a rapper that all these video hoes have hooked up with. You see what I'm saying? It's like a cycle, a vicious cycle of rappers and hoes. I thought that was just a simple and effective expression by Mick Jenkins, because a lot of us have probably thought about that before. There's also a great video for this track, so make sure you check that out as well. Now the vibe of this mixtape is mostly mellow, especially when you have songs like The Healer featuring Gene Doe and Comfortable featuring No Name Gypsy. These tracks are so relaxing that you could easily fall asleep to them, but not because they're boring, they're just really chillin'. The Healer has a dreamy beat, and Gene Doe's whispery lullaby vocals fit perfectly on the chorus as well as on her verse. As for Comfortable, No Name Gypsy's verse might take a bit of getting used to because it's kind of offbeat and ahead of itself. I don't know if she did that on purpose, if that's the style that she was going for, but it doesn't sound bad. It's just kind of different and weird, and I'm not sure how everyone's going to feel about that. The whole album isn't mellow though. The final track, Jerome, has crazy gritty bars from Mick Jenkins and Joey Badass, and the beat on it is so dirty and grimy that when I hear the song, I just picture it playing at a dirty, dim-lit, dingy underground club where people are throwing their hands up and chanting along with the lyrics. The beat just has that dirty 90s golden era feel to it, which is expected because the producer is Kirk Knight, and that's the sound that he usually brings. And even Dehydration and the title track, The Waters, while still laid back, have some really big bass, and they create the perfect vibe for some late night riding. And I know I say that a lot in my reviews, but if you're like me, you like songs that fit that mood when you're just by yourself under the city lights, vibing out with some big bass and some mellow sounds going on. There's really not a bad song on here, and every track is interesting in some way. There's a track 514, which is a dedication to Montreal over an eerie sounding beat, some laid-back, jazzy production on Vibe, and the Static Selector produced Black Sheep, where Mick raps about being an outsider in the industry, and he sums it up perfectly in the last line of the song, where he says that even though he's the black sheep, you can still see the goat in him. Not that he's actually a goat that eats cans and trash. You know, GOAT, the greatest of all time. So I thought that was a cool line because he's expressing how, even though he's different and an outsider, that's what makes him stick out and will help him to attain that title that so many rappers go after, the greatest of all time. So I give this mixtape a 4 out of 5. Lyrically, it's one of the deepest, no puns intended, projects to come out this year. Mick just touches on various subjects, and he does it in a way that seems very heartfelt and sincere. He just comes across as a regular, everyday guy. Like, you can tell with his music that he wants to inspire people and reach them, not just bore them and rap about materialistic things like so many other rappers do in this day and age. It's definitely worth checking out, but you just got to keep in mind that you have to take your time with this project, you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to really listen to what he's saying, because it's not really a project you can just casually listen to and hope to fully grasp. You can't just dip your toes in the waters, you have to dive right in and let it soak. Okay, those puns were intended, and they were forced, and they were terrible, and I'm kind of ashamed. But not really, because I kind of liked it, but I know it was kind of douchey, so let's just deal with it. You know what I mean. And one more thing I wanted to add about this album is that I think it's going to have a lot of replay value, because every time I go back and listen, I pick up on something else. I hear something else going on in the beat, I understand a lyric that I didn't understand the first time, or there's something else that kicks in and ties the whole project together. It's just really great in that way, and that's why I think it's a 4 out of 5 and a great album worth checking out. You're going to get something out of this, but like I said, be patient. So that's my review for Mick Jenkins' mixtape, The Waters. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're an indie artist and you want me to review your album, you can hit me up at luke@redmattersite.com. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel, comment on my channel, follow me on Twitter, retweet, like my videos, all that good social media stuff and YouTube stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.